Welcome to day 25 of doing startup in Canada. So, this is the journey of my startup business in Canada. So, what is the number one best thing about doing a tech startup in Canada? Okay, first, let's talk about the bad things about Canada that people talk about. First is like it's a very small market, there's no population, there's very small businesses, or the companies that are also big are not that big as the US companies. Second is that people are risk averse. People do not throw away money on buying products or investments into the companies. So, yes, so these are the two bads. But many of these bads are also because we compare Canada to USA, while Canada is actually not just in the startup but also in jobs. While people complain so much about not being able to get jobs in Canada, Canada is still so much better than other European countries in terms of job opportunities and the amount of salary. The problem with Canada really is that people compare it with USA. Now that is not just a problem, but it is also the best thing about Canada. So especially when it comes to doing a startup, because of this proximity to USA, we can exploit this so much while doing startup in Canada. So let me tell you some examples. More and more I'm meeting companies who are selling to American, like 95 or 80% of their customer base is in America, and they're able to sell it well from here. People trust Canadian companies, and it's not a problem to really buy from America the products made in Canada. And the number two is like the American investors, they invest in Canada very easily. Like there's no barrier at all. So this is very surprising for me because I thought, how will they invest cross country and there will be some bureaucratic barriers or something like that. But I've been talking to US investors, and all of them have been very welcoming. They used the term North America to include Canada into the entire game, and they're willing to invest. And in fact, one of the angel investors, not in fact angel, it's pre-seed investors, suggested me that, so I offered that I can come to America because I have valid H1B visa to work on the startup. But he said, no, you can stay in Canada because costs will be lower. And once your business starts to grow, that's when you can come to America. And I have another story like that. When I came to Canada after a few days, I met an angel investor, and he's a very successful entrepreneur. He sold his company for I don't know how much, but he reached an annual recurring revenue of $30 million without raising any funds while he was doing that business. So I'm hoping that he made a lot of money, and he really knows what he's talking about. So I asked him like, what do you think about Canada? Is it like, should you have gone to USA and done startup there? He said, no, I am very happy I have been here. First of all, I had no bureaucratic problem because of like PR. US, there's so much visa issues, and most of the brilliant guys in USA, I'm talking about the immigrant guys, get stuck into the visa issues. So finally, he was able to do his startup. That's the biggest thing. But even more, he said that there is no difference between living in Toronto or living in a US city like Chicago or Atlanta. So yeah, there is a difference between living in Toronto and living in San Francisco. Um, but then it is same difference as living in Chicago and living in San Francisco. So what he means to say, like, let's say in San Francisco there are 800 investors, in New York there are 200 investors, but if you go to any third city in USA, there will be 20 investors, maybe in Seattle, maybe in Chicago, and there will be 20 investors in Toronto. So there's no difference as such. Now, as far as the customers are concerned, so his biggest customer at that time was McDonald's, and he used to go to, I think, McDonald's or Coke, I don't remember, but he had to go to USA, and it was somewhere in the office in the middle of the USA, not in Bay or in New York. And if also the company would have been in USA or in San Francisco, he would still have to travel to meet these clients and provide them support. So anyways, if you have to travel, it's the same flight, the flight cost and the flight durations are same, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, it does matter if you are in San Francisco, living in USA in San Francisco, or living in New York. But if someone is in USA but not living in these two hubs, then living in Toronto is as good as living in USA. So what is the number one thing about doing a tech startup in Canada? It is the proximity to USA. What it means that you can sell your product very easily without any bureaucratic hurdle to companies in USA. You can travel to provide them service, and also you can attract all the investment that you want from American investors. So all of this Bay Area investors are actually open and accessible. Take care.